All right, man, peace. So I decided to make a video that's going to be called "The Black Woman is God, Niggas." And I decided to do this video because too many times, whether it's been my reaction to videos or my interaction with fellow content creators that hold streams on YouTube, there is a specific behavioral trait that a lot of these so-called black men have online where they proliferate the so-called black woman, and especially content I've made about the anti-black men black men. I don't really know this brother too well to call him an anti-black man, but at the same time, the whole entire thing about pandering and all these different things out here about these brothers that sit up there and say the black woman is God, and it's like when you ask them to prove why they say that, usually it's one of those sort of things that goes to the function of the woman, the fact of the matter that she's able to carry a seed for 9 months, birth a child, and all these different things about how just off the base point that a woman is able to carry a child. They don't give any other conclusion or reason why the black woman is God or why the woman is God in general. And that lets you know in a society that they twisted up everything to make it go against the actual standards. And then this goes into the whole entire layer pool of feminism rhetoric and sitting up there saying the woman is first, the man is second, and all this nonsense that goes out here. So we're going to be talking about this podcast by the name of No Fugazi Podcast. I'm pretty sure you know who this guy is. A lot of y'all have been talking about him, and usually he's doing content, having conversations or debates with feminists and all these different things, usually to the rhetorics of like Andrew Tate or your favorite like Myron Gaines, but not Frank Castle and chicks. Like just being able to have the conversation to say, well, the reason why you're wrong is because of A through Z. However it is, we're going to view this content because I think it's very important. And especially with the so-called black woman that still wants to simp out for the black woman. Now, this is my thing. There's definitely an essential nature to women and to the so-called black woman. There's essential parts about the black woman that is wonderful and is needed for this society. But we're going to take a look at this video and see the rhetoric and the semantics that this man is going to have towards No Fugazi podcast. Let's watch.
As you know, before we've adopted the thinking and ideologies of God how we know it now, before that, or even if we take it away, we would see that the black woman is actually truly God. That's what you
Correct.
said, right? Okay.
Correct.
Now, where does the father, my question for you is, where does the man come in? Where does the father or the man come into this picture? The black man or any man?
All right. Now, in regards to the father is a social construct that has nothing to do with nature. So somebody made up this whole father aspect. Man is something totally different. You grow into the man, but we go through stages in life to get to a man. So in regards to me, I had to go from a embryo, you know what I'm saying, to an infant, to a toddler, teenager, young adult, and then I graduated into a man. So when we're talking about those two terms, you got to go to get to a man, and then when you're talking about a father, there's nowhere that there's a father in nature. So a father would be unnatural. That's just something to compete with the woman.
Okay.
This Tyler Perry extra look like he just came off the set of a Tyler Perry looking like the villain looking ass nigga going to sit here and tell you as the viewer and tell No Fugazi podcast that a father is built to compete with a woman. In what world? And the whole entire time, not once did this man say anything about him being a male in society. That a man is a stage of a male's life. I believe that being a father is also a stage in a man's life. But, at the same time, that is not necessarily based on age. It's just based off the experience of when you're ready to have a child. And for maybe a lot of cases or sometime cases, men who are not prepped to be a father because they don't have sperm control or, busting that good old nut in that girl that got the fat ass. and then they wind up having a baby mama with who they ain't supposed to. A lot of examples of that. Y'all know what I mean. Let's just be real. And y'all brothers need to be responsible out here. Stop thinking with your dick and start thinking about the future. You understand? But getting back into the conversation with this guy, what he's doing right now is playing semantics. He's saying, well, you got to grow into being a man. Okay, that's true. We can go off of that and say that that's true. But a fatherhood or father being a social construct, he's going to later talk about how it's a label, which is correct. It is a label, but at the same time, it's not a social construct. Now, getting into that, we can get into the whole semantics, we can get into the whole etymology of fatherhood and all this other stuff. But at the same time, fatherhood exists in every sense of the way when it comes to animals, right? When it comes to dogs, cats, lions, all these different mammals that operate in society, they have and understand it's male, female, child. They know this, they understand this. You understand? So when you say fatherhood is a social construct, you're just going off the idea it's a label. You're not going off the necessary component that fatherhood or being a father is something that exists in society, but other animals don't adapt to that name. It's not like dogs say to another dog, I am a father, or cats say to another cat, I am a father, lion, I am a father. Like they know that inherently. It's just a different language because I can't speak mammal. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to be funny, I can speak bird, but at the same time, saying that fatherhood is a social construct, you're just going off of calling it a label. But to say that a father is being built to compete with a woman, how? A woman is the one that carries the child. A man is the one that provides the sperm to carry for, the father gives the sperm to the woman during sexual intercourse. Therefore, she gets pregnant, carries it for 9 months. Boom, there's the baby. But this guy is going to go on a whole entire semantic rage and it's going to be complete cap as you watch this show go on. Let's check it out.
So you're saying that the father is unnatural, but the woman is natural. Do I
Correct.
have that correct? And you're
Correct.
saying
Correct.
the reason why, you really didn't give a reason why the father would be unnatural. So what's your reasoning that the father is unnatural? Explain, give me some logic, however you could,
Right.
put it together.
The logic was nature. I said that there was not a father found in nature. There's nowhere in nature that you can find a father. You have a
Okay,
male.
well,
So at the end of the day, there's no father. Father is a social construct. That's something to put itself into existence to be opposite of the mother. But there's no such thing really as a father. I'm
can you,
just
ex- can you,
Well, that's the whole fucking point. I mean, you're not going to call a male a mother and then call the mother still a mother. You're not going to call a male a female when it's a male. That obviously labels do get put in place in order to identify things or someone and stuff like that to make things easier in society and not complicate things. That's just how things work. You can call it a social construct if you want, but we know at the end of the day that you have a father and you have a mother. Give a shit if you know them or not. You still have a father, you have a mother, and if you have siblings, you either have a sister or you have a brother. So I guess in that point, if you want to make that argument, I guess being a brother is a social construct as well as is what you're saying. Or what you might be saying or thinking. Who the fuck knows? This is crazy.
explain how the father is a social construct?
it's a social construct due to the fact is you're talking about a label that's being placed on a man being a father. You can you be a father at 12 years old?
I mean,
Yes.
I think I had when I was 12 years old, man. So
Okay, so you have not.
you could be a father when you're 12 years old. You could have definitely planted your seed in something. Yes. Let's just go with, do you think there's any differences between men and women?
It's kind of like you're trying to be condescending to the point where you have no comprehension. Like, you don't have no comprehension in what I'm saying to you in a response to the point where you can't fathom it. What do you mean? I don't
No.
understand what you. Then you go to the next question after you sit there and tell me that you didn't understand. Like
No, no,
come
no.
on,
Not
bro. Like we're gonna turn
understand.
this into. Is this some
Not
type of
understand.
entertainment or something? I'm just asking you. I thought it was about the black woman as God. I don't know you. I
Well,
didn't research you. I just
Totally
came over here
fine.
because okay. So what are
We'll
we
we'll
doing? What
we'll
are we
speak
doing?
in we'll speak in detail.
And a lot of the time I find it, you have a lot of these dudes, these philosophical, the black woman is God niggas that go on this whole like ad hominem attack rage, logical fallacies, gaslighting, and all these tactics that they use against the free thinking so called black man, or the man for that example, to not stretch out their points, thinking that what they're saying is an attack and all these different things, when a man is just having a conversation, you calling you out for the nonsense that you're saying and saying that he disagrees with what you're saying. Now we all know those that interact with me on YouTube here, or if you see me go to different panels and about how I usually attack the anti black men, they usually have the same personality traits. When things don't go their way when it comes to a conversation, they're quick to attack. And it makes me understand that there's an understanding now why they go so hard for women, because they act like a woman. They get emotional, they get in their bag, they get in their fifis. You try to have a conversations with these black men. Yeah, some of them are smart enough to bring up stats, statistics, and all these different things. A lot of them are very dumb though. And the thing about it is that they do a lot of coping instead of sitting up there trying to have an actual debate. And I mean, I've seen it recently outside of black men. I've seen it recently on the whatever podcast or whatever that show is, with that dude that's on there that was arguing against a male feminist. But obviously, at the end of the day, how I phrase it, anytime you come across these liberal so-called black men, or what I call the black woman is God niggas, there are male feminists. That's what they are. It's not a definition, it's just a black version of what a male feminist is. It's no difference. They doing the same thing, uplifting the black woman and saying the black woman can do no wrong. She's a queen and this, that, and the third. And if you that free thinking so-called black men that's saying not all black women are queens, they get at your ass and sit up there saying you don't love your mother, you don't like this, you don't like that, which is the same exact rhetoric that these male feminists and the modern day woman will do to the man. He's going to later go ahead and start insulting No Fugazi as the show goes on. Let's watch.
What we're doing is having a discussion man to
Mm-hmm.
man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
just said that the man is a social construct,
I said the
right?
father is. You're
Or the
saying that the
father
man
is a
is. Right.
okay.
It was two things. You asked me
Let's
about the man and
excuse
the
it.
father.
You said, well, that because the father is not from nature, and I want you to explain how isn't the father not from nature. That's what I want you to do. I want you to explain how it's a social construct and it's not from nature. Because here's what I'll tell you. Nothing grows without unless a seed is planted. Nothing grows on this planet unless a seed is planted. And every man holds the seed in them. Every man holds the seed of life form. Life form in us. In your sack, if you have enough testosterone, but I know in my sack, I got at least 80 million of them little niggas moving around in there. You know what I'm saying? Most men do with a good amount of testosterone. So therefore we have seed, and the life form starts there. You won't have a plant if you don't plant a seed first. So you saying that a father is a social construct is a lie, is what I'm saying. Get to dispute the point that the father doesn't hold the seed. So we plant the seed in a woman, and then life grows from that. Women bring about life. The life form is actually in a man. So explain to me again how the father is a social construct when the father holds the seed and a woman holds nothing but eggs. She's waiting for a seed.
Okay.
You sound you don't make sense, man. Let me hear you.
You haven't given me a chance to make sense. You're wrong. And you're wrong in the way to sit there and say that the sperm is a seed. How could you have seeds running up and through your body? That makes no sense. A seed is not a fucking tadpole with a tail. That's not a seed. So in regards to it, you're wrong. Now, if you're talking about an apple seed or
Explain
orange
how
seed,
I'm wrong, though.
listen.
This makes no sense, because in this man's mind, I can tell where he's going with it and what he's thinking. Because he's thinking, well, it's not literally a seed because your nuts don't hold seeds. It's not like it just sits there and then when you're ready to have sex, you just jerk out the damn seed into a woman's vagina. It is a seed. Again, it goes to labels. Seeds can come in different forms, dare say. Okay, like it's not like it's fucking fruit or all these different things and stuff like that. You're planting in the ground, and then all of a sudden, when a woman wants a damn seed, she just puts it in her vagina. That's not how it works, buddy. Like at the end of the day, this brother is the only thing he's doing is playing semantics. If you really start to break apart exactly what he's saying, he's not saying anything. He's trying to complicate the basic terms of things. That's what he's doing. Everybody understands that it takes a man's sperm to get a woman pregnant. Otherwise, than that, the woman doesn't even stand a chance of getting pregnant. That's why you have a lot of women out here that be like, well, I want to get a man. I want to get a man to have a baby with because they understand they can't get pregnant by themselves. And let it be a dumbass feminist that tell you that they can get pregnant themselves. This stupid ass narrative about bone marrows and all this other stuff. That's not even something that has been extradited in society successfully yet. And if it has, it's a lower percentage than what people think has been. There's not a lot of women out here who's going for bone marrows and using parts of their body to produce a child. Not a lot of them is doing that. A lot of women, because they understand exactly their role in society, they know that they need a man's sperm to do that. So if they don't want a man to have sex with them, guess what they do? Go to a sperm bank. Duh. So it is the seed. It's the sperm. Okay, it's the obvious thing from your nutsack all the way to your shafts that's put in with the fluid, sperm inside the woman, boom, pregnant.
An avocado seed or whatever the case may be. Now we can get into the comparison on how the woman gives the man the whole body, the construct, the brain, the lungs, the face, the skin. She's creating a child within a womb. So she gives him the penis too. Did you forget that she gave him the
Incorrect.
sperm? So
Can
in
you
regards
explain
to it,
in a
the
scientific way, from a biological way, how doesn't a man hold the seed in the life form? You're just speaking, but I need you to peel back the layers to things and give facts. This podcast is called No Fugazi. So if I'm speaking, I'm always going to speak with facts. So here's a fact for you. The woman doesn't determine the sex of the baby. She has an X chromosome. The man holds the X and the Y chromosome, right? So here's science, right? So when a man has sex with a woman, he dictates the sex of the baby. So you just said, where do you get a penis from? Where do you get this from? Where do you get that from? You get that from the man, since the man determines the sex of the baby. Do you get it? Women only hold the X chromosome, men hold the X and a Y. That's scientifically facts that proves that what you just said is nonsense, and men do dictate the sex of the baby. So if he's dictating the sex of the baby, let's peel the layer back even further. That means that the man actually dictates how many men are going to be in this world, how many women are going to be in this world. The list goes on
I
and on.
don't.
Your father dictated that you would have a beard. Your father dictated that you would have a beard and be a man, from what I could see. You get what I'm saying? Your mother didn't determine that, so you should be thanking your father, because your father truly created you. Anything for that, man? Scientifically, can you dispute what I said?
You sound uneducated, like to the point where this is so level of surface to the
God
point.
dang,
How
man.
could you?
Okay,
How could you
educate
sit
me.
here? I'm just asking you, like, how could you
Educate
sit
me.
here and tell me
I'm
that
fine.
my father gave me what all males are females before they turn into a male based off the decision of the mother. Every male can
And it goes to that rhetoric I done heard from women too that sit up there and say that males are basically inside out females, and this bullshit that goes all the way down to the fetus about how the fetus is developed and that a male don't have a penis until this stage of the damn embryo and all this shit. I know exactly where he's gonna go with this, and my response is it's all cap, but let it go.
look at their actual scrotum sac and see a line from the bottom of their scrotum sac to the tip of their penis. All male. That means you were sold up. Your testicles are nothing but your ovaries. Your penis is nothing but an elongated clitoris. At the end of the day, you're nothing but an inside out female. I'm sorry that this man has never been told that, and he doesn't understand that he was made in the likeness and the image of his mother. I'm sorry that before anybody ever taught him anything, his mother was there. Your mother is literally the only thing that you know in life. You don't even know if that's your father, but your mother knows if it's your father or not. You know everything about your mother because that's where you came from. That's your first home. That's your first origin. The black woman has always been considered God, even before the patriarch took over and started to actually make a male God. But it was never a male that was being God. It was always the woman. In Islam, it was the woman. In the Catholic Church, it was the woman. In ancient Egypt, it was the woman. In Samaria, Mesopotamia, Babylon, it was the woman. Phoenicia, it was the woman. Chaldea was the woman. But if
All of these empires he's naming, the queen never came first. The king did. So, I mean, the brother is just trying to conclude some point, like maybe in society that when it came to certain tactics, when it came to these empires, that there would be groups of men that go to the women for advice or something like that. In some cultures, yeah, they would proliferate the woman in some type of way. They would proliferate goddesses. But at the same time, a lot of these societies, men still ruled. Men were still kings. Men were still the ones that was highly favored in society before the woman was. So the brother saying that he don't make sense is like we can get into the whole history battle, but at the same time, we have that understanding. Even in today's age, even though feminism has made women think that they run society and that vagina controls the world, who's behind that? Who's behind the curtains? Men are. So that's when I say, in my opinion, when people start talking about feminism and how feminism is about women, 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 it's men that's controlling that narrative anyway. And it's pushing that as the driving force to cause the social divide between men and women anyway. There's a bunch of men behind the curtain that's doing the nonsense. The higher uppers that's making y'all believe this is a division between men and women. It don't change shit. It's men still doing that nonsense, not women. Women are not the ones that sit up there that's behind the curtains, that's controlling all this, telling y'all to go outside and protest against men and have these dumbass women that make these videos talking about all men are worthless and useless and they should die and they shouldn't be alive and let's not give men children. We're not a baby making factory and all this nonsense. Like I said before, even when it gets down to feminists, just to derail the topic, feminism is still controlled by men. It's not controlled by women. You name me who the goddamn feminist founder is. Name me that, and we can have a conversation. Just to derail a little bit.
he doesn't know that, that means he's not reading. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to respond to the man, even to the point where if a woman is making up your whole total makeup and she's using her menstrual blood to do it within her womb, that's why you women don't bleed for 9 months. You literally coagulate a child in your womb. What does the man have to do with it? Is the man shooting blood in you, woman, or is he literally giving you his DNA via his sperm? So when you're actually making this baby in your womb, you're using your blood. That's why you don't bleed for 9 months. When that baby comes out, that is a product of its mother. So the baby literally.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the reason you're not bleeding for 9 months is because you're not dropping eggs no more. And the fact of the matter is, you're doing exactly what your body was functioned to do as a woman to produce a goddamn baby. Like, I thought that was the whole entire point. It's preparation for the woman to have a child. I'm not going to get into science because that's not the reason I'm making this conversation or doing this video. But at the same time, again, this brother is not making any points. He's complicating a basic concept and then trying to say that he's smarter than No Fugazi. He's not saying anything different if you really take time to hear what this dude is saying. He's not saying anything different. It's just basic. It's just one of the mills, I'm the smartest nigga alive type of rhetoric. And you know, because I use these different words and I've read these different books and stuff like that, I'm smarter than the average man that thinks that he's over a woman, so-called. And I'm going to be able to tell that man, you ain't nothing more but an inside out female. Your balls ain't real. Your penis ain't real. You ain't got breast. You ain't got this. You ain't got that. You got an Adam's apple hair because you an inside out female. Because a woman made you, which means that the woman is God.
He develops through life. As the baby develops through life, we get to puberty. That's when our body chemically starts to actually make the sperm in our body. But it came from our mother. Everything comes from your mother. You get it from your mother. Your mother is your God. Your father is not your God. The sperm in his body comes from his mother. What do you think?
Hey, and the thing about it is, this is so stupid because now it starts to become the whole entire idea: what came first, the chicken or the egg type of rhetoric, right? And the thing about it is, what this guy is saying, still at the end of the day, yes, it's true. The father came from a mother, and that mother came from a mother and a father and stuff like that. At the same time, it still takes two to tango. The man's sperm inside the woman's womb and the mother carrying the child for 9 months produces the child develops, the embryo develops into a baby, and then the baby is born. That's how it works. But again, where does it all come from? Man sperm. Without the man sperm, there is no baby, there is no mother. When I can't even say anything now because he says a father ain't real. So the mother giving birth to a fictional creature that's named a father because a father is a social construct. I mean, you got to hear a lot of times when these men speak because it's just so funny when they start to open their mouth and they just keep going back into their arguments, deflecting off the matter that it takes two to damn tango. And at the same time, when we have this conversation, without the male impregnated a woman, there is no father, there is no mother, there is no child. That's it. There's nothing else to be said. The mother is not no God. The only God that we know is the Most High. If you follow religion, we already understand religion, spirituality, whatever. But we know that God is God. The black woman is not God. The mother is not God. You respect your mother, you honor your mother, but your mother is not your God. She's also a guide for your life, just like your father is. Your mother guides you in ways and shapes you so you have the breakings of what it's like to be in society as you grow up past 18 years old, so that you start making your own decisions. You start moving the way you need to move so that you are prepped to have a family as a father, and that woman as a mother, as in who you're dating. Because we all have an understanding, if you didn't understand it already, relationships is just a prelude to parenthood. That's all it is. Mating, that's all it is. Girlfriend, boyfriend is just a prerequisite into wifedom and husbandhood if you decide to get married. Because a lot of times, people these days don't want to get married. And obviously, being a father and a mother. It's just how it goes.
Think we got our body from? You didn't make this. You don't have nothing to do with your face. You don't have nothing to do with your head and none of that. Your mama gave that to you. She birthed you. How could you sit there and say that she's not your God? Your mother was God before you was taught about God. Somebody had to tell you about God in order for you to believe them. Now in your mind, that's God. But what if your mother knew she was God? She would teach you about God. How can a man be a God when he cannot produce life? A man cannot sustain life. He does not have breast milk.
Got you. You done or are you still going?
No, go ahead, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm respectful. So if you want to go and respond, you can go.
Okay. So, I mean, everything you said was just nonsense. It didn't make any sense. It didn't correlate to anything.
Which
It
part?
didn't,
Which
one
part?
plus
Which
one
part?
didn't add up.
Or
You didn't
no?
have any rebuttal to it. You just started
Uh,
speaking nonsense. But let me ask you a
I
question.
have to force myself to speak
Does
because you won't
one,
allow me to.
does one
You're
plus
asking
one
me
equal
another
two?
question. Yeah,
Does
I
one
think
plus
it
one
equals
equal
one.
two?
No, one and one come together, they merge. That's one, right? Think about it,
Okay.
right?
God dang.
When
Yo.
one
So
and one
chat
come together,
proves
they
my
merge,
point.
right?
The nigga don't know
Right.
what one
One
plus
and
one
one
equals.
merge, right?
He said that
One
one
and
and one
one, put it
merges.
together, they merge. One, right? If I
Oh,
come
God
together with a
dang.
woman, don't I go into that woman? Don't me
All
and that
right.
woman go into each other? Now we one. I got my dick, I am one. At the end of the day, what you
So you
mean
got to
one plus
watch
one
on your
equals
left
two?
hand. You got to watch.
I hate the semantics dudes start when they try to think again, going back into the whole entire conversation of thinking they sound smart when they sound dumb as fuck. And they try to do this psychological mind games of saying, well, they merge, they come together like glue. If I'm in a relationship with my girlfriend, one plus one equals two. I'm in a relationship with someone. That's my girlfriend. So that's me and her. It's not that we merge into each other. Now I become her and she becomes me. It just means that I am me, Bronzebird, and she is who she is, whoever the hell she is as my girlfriend or my partner. So when knowledge is speaking this nonsense about one plus one, it's merging. Again, no Fugazi is right. He's not saying anything. He's complicating basic concepts and trying to sound like he's doing this intellectual mumbo jumbo semantics to make it seem as if what he's saying, no fugazi that is off the binary of what he should be saying or should be thinking or should be coming across into this so-called knowledge. 20.
Watch in your left hand.
Right.
If you put another watch on your
Mm.
left hand, will you have one watches or two watch?
They're on the same hand. It's just one watch if they put together. If you leave, they merge together. You see what I'm
Uh,
talking about?
The dude literally said, if you put another watch on the other hand, does that mean you have one watches or two watch? Like, and obviously he's being funny, but at the same time, it's like obviously you have two watches. Why are we discussing this? Like, I understand what he's getting at, but for him to say that they merged, like this guy sounds stupid. And this is what you get with these the black woman is God niggas. The whole entire crystals and the whole entire, yes, queen, we are this, that, and the third, we aliens, Aninaku, and all these dumbass fucking concepts that don't even make any sense. Just to protect his speech about the black woman being God. And that woman is God. Like it's like these dudes got hyped up when Ariana Grande made that song back in like 2013. God is a woman, or it was later down the line. I don't remember, but obviously when Ariana Grande made that song, like dudes got hyped up, and it was a whole entire things to uplift themselves and say, "Yes, I'm a male feminist." And like I told y'all before, and I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again, the dudes that's involved with that, the black woman is God, are just the black version of male feminists. That's all they are. They don't offer anything different. They don't have any different talking points than the white counterpart males that say the same shit about uplifting women. And by all means, I'm not one to be misogynistic and say that women are not worth in society. Women are beautiful, wonderful, intellectual, all those different things. But at the same time, you understand nonsense when you understand nonsense. Certain things just don't make sense, such as this. How do you merge two watches that's on two different hands, stupid motherfucker?
You want me to
if
have
you
two?
put the watch
Uh,
on a different hand, would you have
uh,
two watches on you?
I don't know. If you take a man wig off, then would you have be bald headed? I don't know, bro. We all got questions that they ask us. I mean, shit. I mean, what you want to do? I don't
What?
know, bro. Is you
I'm
on? Is we on
curious.
this build? Are we on this? Are we on this build or what? What we gonna do, bro?
This is
What
what
we
we're
gonna
gonna do,
do?
because I'm actually curious. Because the last
Mm.
people I had on here, I had four other people that had your same points of view, right? And now let's change up the dialogue a little bit, because I'm curious of knowing. I believe that you let me know if you don't believe that 1 + 1 = 2, but let me know if this makes sense to you,
Mm.
and see if we can come to agreement on something. That's what I want to get
Mm.
here. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Influence creates thinking, thinking creates behavior. Would you say that that's true?
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. I want to know this because I spoke with, you're the fifth person I had on the podcast now that believe that the black woman is God, right? So since we know that, and you just confirmed that influence creates thinking and thinking creates behavior,
Mm.
you have this, your mind frame of how you think. I want to know what
It-
influenced you to think this way.
It's knowing versus belief. Everybody believes in God. I know God. You see what I'm saying? Knowing is being able to have logic, evidence, and reason. You know it, just like your past experiences. I know my mother. So before I learned how to talk, before I learned how to walk, before I had taught about my ABCs, before I was taught about anything, my mother was there. Somebody had to teach me, influence me, get me to think about a God that they wanted me to think about. But prior to that, my mother was my creator. So when you look at it, my mother was a black woman, and all black women are the manifestation of Mother Nature. I don't give a fuck about a book in which you read, bro. Go to nature and look at it. That is the
I
supreme
got
map
you.
of things. Everything
Clarence,
in nature
one
is telling
second.
you what to
Clarence, I
every
seen that
you
you,
don't have you
real
don't have
quick.
to stop me, bro. You don't have to stop
No, no,
me
no.
every
Someone
fucking
came
30
in the chat.
seconds.
Clarence, I see
You
you
don't
coming in
have to
here. Give
stop
it.
me.
So before he starts getting in his whole entire barrage and his nonsense rhetoric of starting to argue with No Fugazi, this is the whole entire thing of where we start at with it that made me think about this when he just said what he said about his mother being God. So when it comes to a God, if you're saying your mother, do you worship your mother? Do you uphold your mother to a certain standard that you wouldn't uphold other human beings to, or other women for that factor? And if we're saying the black woman is God and you saying your mother is the God, doesn't that mean that you have multiple gods that you should be worshiping? Because if you believe the black woman is God and you believe your mother is God, you would think that every black woman that you come across is God. So by having God dumb, there is a form of worship, there is a form of praise, right? In which you believe that by the black woman being God, that you are worshiping different gods just besides your mother, which is blasphemous. How can you worship millions of gods at the same time? Do you have shrines of every single black woman in your household? So every other black man that has a mom, which is every black man that has a black mom, that means that you're also worshiping their moms too. Like this whole entire spiral of how far we can go into this idea of Gotham and saying that the black woman is God. Do you uplift celebrities as gods? Because we already understand idol worship is a thing. That in society you do have people that worship celebrities as gods, as such as you see. I even had a personal conversation with a woman before that I personally know that technically uplift a celebrity like Beyonce as a god, which is blasphemous, and try to put these spiritual type of rhetoric on them that doesn't fit them. And they don't know this person from a can of paint. You just know what their appearance is. You know how they are perceived in the media. But again, I would ask you this, brother. If we're going off the backs that the black woman is God, and you say that you know God because you know your mother, do you uphold your mother to a higher standard than any other women that you come across? And black women for that sake, because the black woman is God according to you. And if that is the case, that means that how do you worship the other black women that's around you that you know of, or the other black women that's out in society that could be could be a mother to those other children, men, whatever have you? That's the question I have for this brother, King Knowledge or Knowledge the Simp 20.
Two
Every 30
seconds.
seconds,
I'll
bro.
add you
30
in after I
seconds.
have this discussion with him.
I get
Once
30
again,
seconds to speak. Like every
listen,
single
man,
time.
it's a
Is that what you
podcast, and
feel?
I had
You're
someone trying to
intimidated.
join the live
You're
stream.
intimidated, bro.
No,
That's
no, I
all
had
it
someone
is.
trying
You're
to join the live
intimidated.
stream.
You don't want to know. You do this for content.
Intimidated?
At the end of yeah, you're intimidated. It's got to be.
Come
If I
on,
can
man.
sit there and listen to you and
Nah,
you
man.
can't listen to
I
me,
mean,
you
listen, bro.
told
We
us
could
about a pregnant male rat. You told
intimidate,
us the
bro.
science
I do
brought about a
debates with
pregnant
men
male
in
rat.
person. You could come here in
Come
person.
on, man.
No one's intimidated, bro. No
You
one's
gotta
no,
be.
no
It's
one
gotta be
feels like that.
something. Then
You could
why
have this
won't you let
discussion
me
in
speak the
person.
whole
The same way I'm
podcast?
conveying myself with you over here, it'll be
The
in
whole
person. And actually,
podcast,
it'll be
bro.
more
Listen,
intense.
y'all.
We said that influence creates thinking, thinking creates behavior. You think that the black woman is God. I want to know what influenced you.
Looking for God.
Okay? Explain, elaborate. What did you
God has
find that made you really think that the black woman is God?
my mother
Like
was in my
you
face the whole time. She was in my face the whole time, and I didn't realize that
okay.
that was God. So they told me that my mother, everything was outside of me. They told me that everything else was my mother. Everything else is God but your mother. And then you
But who told you that? Because it has to be a thinking that you had to come up with that conclusion. So a lot of time when you get the black woman is God niggas, you ask them, what made you think that the black woman is God? Oh, because I know. But obviously that would go off of the teachings you heard from somebody else to give you that type of idea. Because more than likely, I'm pretty sure he had a conversation with his mom, and his mother never told him as he was growing up, I am your God. She never said that. She said, you're my son. I love you. I'm gonna make sure you good. I'm gonna raise you right. I'm gonna make sure you good and you prep for when you go out in this world and reality strikes you in the ass because of what you have to deal with as a man. That's the thing. I want y'all to do a homework assignment for me if you can. Ask any one of these black woman is God niggas. Ask them where they got their teaching from. If they mother ever taught them that the black woman is God. Ask them that. Always ask these dudes, and I bet you they'll clam up anytime you ask them that question because they don't have the answer. They might have gotten that teaching from somebody else. These confused ass black men that got fucking jewels around their neck, playing around with crystals, eating vegan food, sitting up there telling you that the black man is confused and something's wrong with him and he don't love his own mother if he refuses to believe that the black woman is God. Therefore believing that his mother, his own black mother, is a God herself. That's usually how it goes. They never, ever, 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 in the history of me living for as long as I lived, will ever tell you where they got it from. They just say, I know. But who revered that conversation to you? What conferences have you been to? What fucking vegan meetups have you went to for you to come to that conclusion? That's how it is with the black woman is God niggas, which ain't nothing more but male feminists, the black version. It's no difference. They went into that ideology for a long time because they've been programmed to think that. And now they get mad at the so-called black men that have the thinking, such as No Fugazi, who understands that at the end of the day, y'all coming up with concepts to downtrodden men to make men think that they have to worship women on a certain level just because they get pregnant and they carry a child for 9 months. That's the basis of their argument. Otherwise than that, they have no other reason to say based on personality, based on behavioral traits, based on other actions that would prove that a woman is God for them to have that conclusion in thought. Ask them. They'll never tell you why they believe what they believe because it's a thought. It's a theory to them. They can't prove anything. Even if it was with science, they can't prove it. The only thing they can tell you is because the woman gets pregnant and she carries a child for 9 months. Outside of that, they have no argument. They have no argument.
You look at why they oppress every woman in religion. Christianity, their God says it's okay to rape a woman, to a woman. Islam, they say it's okay to rape a woman. Allah is literally a lot. So they literally define everything in women. It's all about women oppression and for women not to realize that they are the true creators. That's why.
By the way, Allah does not mean a lot. Like, this guy is a fucking idiot. This is what another thing with these philosophical people. I'm not going to just say a brother just like this. I'm just going to say philosophical people. They try to do this whole entire thing of taking words, breaking them down, and like making no goddamn sense in the things that they say. They just say, well, Allah means a lot because it's Allah. So they mispronounced the AH and made it AOT. So that means a lot. A lot to what? Does it mean a lot of gods, a lot of spirituality, a lot of black women that are gods? Like, what do you mean when you say that? This is what I mean, again, with these philosophical, liberal people. This is exactly what this brother is. He's no different than the male feminists and the liberal men that get in this whole entire word salad terminologies in order to make it seem as if he's so smarter than the average man who's able to think for himself and outside the box. They are programmed just like the other liberal people out there that seem to exist in this world.
The patriarch took over. The patriarch literally took over the matriarch. The matriarch had always been in rulership. That's why they studied the goddess Hathor. They literally was with the queen of heaven in Jeremiah 44. They spoke about the goddess everywhere. Tuarat was the first deity question for you that was ever worshipped. See, like I said, I get 30 seconds.
Oh, no, so you explained really it. Now I have another question for you. See,
I'm saying I wasn't done. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Let me know how long I'll get. I mean, you just stopped me. You're going to keep doing it, so go ahead.
I mean, you okay. Explained all the way down to how it went.
Bro. Go ahead, bro.
So, and also, I'll just give you the rules of the podcast. So get used to it. So guess what? This is called order, right? Men create order. This is my platform, so there's a hierarchy to things. It's my rules, so if I set the rules and you follow the rules, right? When you have your own podcast and you invite me on, you set the rules and I follow those rules. Life is in hierarchy. So I have a question for you. So you just said that the matriarchy. I have a question for you. Listen, you just said that the question for me. You just said that the matriarchy was taken over by the patriarchy. How can if the matriarchy is natural, right? It's a natural way of life. It's nature, right? You said the father doesn't come from nature, but the woman does come from nature. If that's the case, if the woman was first, you say that the woman is first. My question is, if the woman came first and you think the black woman is God, why is it that she's always being taken over by a man? Wouldn't
Who
you
said?
think? You just said that the
Okay,
patriarchy
okay. No,
always
no, no,
takes
no.
over the
I'll let you
matriarchy.
finish. I'll let you finish so I can speak. Go ahead.
That's my question. You just said that the patriarchy always
I
takes
know
over
what
the
I said.
matriarchy. How can you say and even think logically that the woman came first if she's not strong enough to defend for herself? Answer it now.
Well, I'll calm down a little bit. Now, let me answer. In regards to the patriarchy taking over the matriarchy, it had nothing to do with strength. You have to understand that's brute strength. So what it was the
God
son
dang.
turned against his mother. The son literally turned against his mother. So instead of being a protector, the son became the predator. And then Christianity and all of these other religions were created to teach men that they were higher than women. How do you think the oppression started, woman? They needed religious context to literally turn your man against you. You can look throughout all the religions
Did you
and you
ever
can
think that
see
the
where you were
woman,
governing.
that the
Can you
man is
shut
just
the
stronger
fuck
than a
up, nigga?
woman? Do you
God
ever just
damn,
think
bro.
that the man
This
is
nigga
just
on some
stronger
hoe
than a
shit.
woman
This
and
nigga
more
on some hoe
superior than a
shit, man.
woman?
You's a bitch, nigga. On
Did
my
you ever
mama,
think
you a
that?
bitch. Fuck
Say
wrong
that to
with
my
you, bro?
face, man. You
I
welcome
said
here. I
you's a
have you
bitch,
on.
nigga.
I
I
have
don't
you
give a
on.
fuck where you
I
at,
have
nigga.
you
I don't
on,
give a
bro.
fuck. Smash the shit out your
Listen,
pussy ass.
actually, here's what
You's
I'll
a
do
little
for you
bitch,
because
nigga.
I've been
All
waiting.
And this is what I mean about what usually happens with the black woman is God niggas. You see how he started getting into the whole thing, getting upset, started irrational, getting emotional, and start calling him names and sitting up there getting at him. Now going to the point about matriarchy versus patriarchy, the thing about it is he brings up a very good point. If it's this thing that happens with matriarchy that it's natural and patriarchy is not natural, then how is it the fact of the matter that you just admitted that patriarchy took over matriarchy and that men have been known to fight wars, start wars, and even fight on women's behalf throughout society since the dawn of time? That's the whole entire thing I'm trying to understand. Because if matriarchy is natural, then to overtake an empire, that would include for you to have strength, therefore be not army veterans, but be soldiers in war, create weapons, be able to negotiate with empires, fight empires, take over land masses, conquer other land masses by even programming other people into your program and over to oversee or succeed in their landmass. And throughout time and society, biblical days, before that, various empires, which gender was taking over empires, societies, and all these different things? Men were. And when it came to overtaking society and growing prisoners of war, who were they usually targeting when it came to programming? Children and women. Women. So that proves that matriarchy was never really a thing that was meant to be quote unquote natural. It was supposed to be the patriarchy that was natural because that's what established order. The way that we are in America is because of the fact of the matter, men decided to make America what it is. The amendments, the laws, the statutes, the Constitution, all these different things that exist in America is because a man and men came together and established this as rules. It wasn't women. It was a fact that this is how it was. This is not to sit up there and say that women are just horrible, dumb creatures and this, that, and third. That's not what I'm saying. But if he's going to go off of the fact that matriarchy is natural, then how come when it came to society, even the founding of America, because we all live in America, no Fugazi, King Knowledge, Bronzebird, we all live in America. If that's the case, how come it wasn't women that founded America? How come it wasn't women that were fighting the wars? How come it wasn't women that were fighting the Native Americans for land masses? The British, the Dutch, so on and so forth. Even the Vikings that came up before Christopher Columbus so-called discovered America, right? The different various people that came from around the world of different regions. How come they weren't women that decided to take over the society? How come? How come it wasn't women that did it? And how come when it came to men overtaking societies, even today in this era, it's the same thing. How come it's programmed and those that want to take over society to program the children and the women and not the men? The men is last. The men are the ones that's more likely to kill themselves for their society, their country, so on and so forth. Not women. Women are fighting war, but mainly we know that it's a majority of men that armies and people who want to start a war, they get the men first because they understand by a man's strength that they got to go out and fight. You understand what I'm saying? For instance, the influence of China. When China goes over to certain countries in Africa and they take over, they sit up there and try to conclude or make these deals with the men, and the men either give it to them or they fight in a war against China, which they usually lose the battle. Because I haven't seen any African country that has not compromised to Chinese influence. And therefore, they program the women and the children to adapt their ways into the new Chinese conquered territory. Therefore, now you have these videos of how these African men in these different countries are mad because they women want to keep fucking a Chinaman and having children that's half and half Chinese, half African. When a Chinaman wants to take over your empire and is fucking your women and taking over your empire. That's not matriarchy. That's patriarchy. We all know that it's men that sit up there and control that whole entire mechanism. They do that. That's how it's built. So if it was really about women taking over, then it'd be the opposite, right? It would be the women that produce life with men. But how would that work if they have to carry the child for 9 months? They wouldn't be able to do certain things because they're pregnant. They have to make sure that they're good, they're healthy. So when they produce a child, that they're not going to, be influenced by all the stuff that comes with trying to take over an empire. That's how matriarchy would work, right? Or you would have women at a large scale who decide to say, we're not having a baby until we conquer the land, and then we're going to fuck the men so that the men can produce the child, and we're going to be able to take over that way. And that would never work because even by a psychological sense, men are built different than women are. And this funny thing about this conversation, this started to become a real big conversation as far as I know. And I always know that I bring this back when I talk about this on this channel, about when it came to the whole thing about Donald Trump running for president back then with Kamala Harris that wanted to run for president, and about how a lot of men sat up there and said that a woman should rule this country. A woman should be able to rule and rule for America. And you did have a lot of men that say women are not capable of running a country. You had women who even said that women are not capable of running this country. They got it down to a science, psychological, behavioral traits, all these different things. And that's why they said Kamala Harris is not a great candidate for running the country. I think they might have said the same thing about Tulsi Gabbard when she tried to run back then, but who knows? You understand? Let's check it out.
For someone like you.
Yeah, I'm right here.
I'll send you out here.
You's a bitch.
I'll send you out here, right? I'll send you out here.
What you did now?
I'll pay for your ticket to come out here. I'll pay for your ticket to come out here, and we can do this debate live in person. And I guarantee you won't have that energy in person. I guarantee you it. I had another man talk crazy just like you, but in person, he wasn't speaking that crazy. It was a entirely different story.
Bro, you can tell everybody in the room can see you a bitch, man. Everybody in the room can see you a little hoe, bro.
Now you're making ad hominems. No one made ad hominems about you. This nigga looking like a fake Drake over here, man. This nigga looking sweet as cheese. How you over here trying to act hard when you get your eyebrows done every day? This nigga looking sweet. This nigga sweet as pie with that little chain on. Nigga squinching his eyes. Nigga, what's in your eye? Why you keep squinching your eyes like that? Trying to have the light skin look. Yeah. Come on. Make none on you. You made him first. So we can either finish this debate.
This dude a whole white boy, bro.
This guy said a white boy. Just because you can't articulate yourself. Just because you can't articulate yourself.
What the fuck is you talking about?
Doesn't mean that I'm a white boy because I can. That don't mean that, nigga. Chat is clowning you right now. But anyways, bro, here's what I'm saying, man.
And real quickly, before we end off, one of the things that I may do a video on or try to have a conversation about is why, when it comes to certain things in the so-called black community, a black man that articulates himself and put himself in a frame that he is a very intellectual man and is able to have conversations that's different than how you think, he automatically gets labeled as someone who's trying to be a white boy or trying to be white or get into this conversation about how that black man is a quote unquote Oreo and all these different things. Something we should talk about and something to think about. Check it out.
Everything that you
You
said is
going
all
off.
false
You
because the
said
root of it, the cause of it is false. The man is superior than a woman.
still
Why
here.
doesn't a matriarchy
If the matriarchy will
ever
always
stood a
be in
test of time?
existence, it's just been hijacked by the patriarchy. You
How
women
can
still produce us. Can
how
you just
can
chill
men?
for a minute? Can you give me a little bit so I can talk to people to get them to understand where
No,
I'm
no,
coming
no, no,
from?
no,
Can
no,
you
no,
just
no.
be
It ain't
quiet
going
for a
like
second?
that. That isn't how
How
this
does it
goes, bro.
go?
Because you're not
How does it
answering
go? Explain it
questions,
to me.
bro. You're not
I'm
answering
tired of your
questions.
questions. Just let me speak
Listen,
for a
man.
minute,
If you
bro.
tired of the questions, then you can hop off
I'm
the
just
stream,
saying
bro.
though.
You're just
Of
speaking
course, because you're
nonsense
getting
right now,
frustrated. Like I said, you're intimidated. For you not to let
nigga.
me talk, but I'm over here is
Nigga, you
really
look like a
crazy as
broke
hell.
Drake, nigga. Who
I know,
intimidated by
bro. You
you,
said
nigga?
that. You said that already. You said that
No,
already.
no
You
one
said
said
that
broke.
already.
That was
Yeah,
different.
okay.
See, you
You
can't
added
listen. You
broke
don't
to
have
there.
good active listening
Corny
skills,
ass
buddy.
shit, man.
You don't
Corny.
have good
What,
active
look,
listening skills.
look at
Low
bro. You got a
IQ.
man wig on. You
Low
got a
IQ,
man
man.
wig on, and you talking about
And they're just gonna do stupid ass ad hominem attacks on this point, but I hope you guys get the point of what it's saying. And to sit up there and say that the matriarchy was just hijacked by the patriarchy means that they was already weak from the start. That's the whole entire thing that's wrong with these black woman is God niggas. Because the thing about it is, what he just said, the matriarchy was just hijacked by the patriarchy. So if the patriarchy is stronger than the matriarchy, that means that the matriarchy was already weak to begin with. If the matriarchy is strong, then the feminism presence and women being about women should rule over men would have been a global thing that at odds even people in war would really be able to pick up on. And therefore, it would have been that conversation to say that the woman is the ultimate ruler. How can the woman sit back? If this is about matriarchy, how can sit back and let patriarchy just rule freely? That's the whole entire point. Like, if we're gonna go off of that whole entire logic, then what made matriarchy lose to patriarchy? That is the question. But otherwise than that, if you like what you heard and you want to have a conversation about it, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you sub to the content. Thank you so much. Peace.